Come on. This is more like it. Saliba to Real Madrid. So these rumours started coming out over the weekend and they were written in various sources. And let's go over it. Because as a Real Madrid fan, one of the most annoying things is that you always get linked with every player under the sun. It's inevitable. It's Real Madrid. It's the biggest club in the world. A lot of the times, it's the players' agents who are offering their clients to Real Madrid, trying to get that dream move. But you do get a lot of dross in there as well. You don't just get the world's best. So, for example, if you go back a year, you've got the likes of Kolo Muani, for example. So, Kolo Muani was at Eintracht Frankfurt at the time, and the fee was rumoured to be about 80 to 100 million euro. Look at how well it's gone for him in Paris. I think it's safe to say we dodged the bullet. He's not the only example. There's a bunch of different names who never quite made it to Madrid, but they were linked quite heavily. Normally as alternatives to our actual goal. So you can normally separate the fact from the fiction because the main goal will be prominent throughout, but then you'll get journalists who write about alternatives in the case that they aren't able to secure their big name. So, for example, when we were going for Jude Bellingham, they linked us with Enzo Fernandez for one, who was at Benfica at the time, would have commanded about 120 million euro. Go and ask Chelsea, they actually paid it. I think Chelsea fans would agree that it's not the best use of 120 million euro. Anyway, let's get on to Saliba and why I'm excited about this one. So, if you have watched my previous videos, you'll know that I do have a bit of an issue with Militao. I also have massive concerns about the fact that I think that Alaba is finished. I can't sugarcoat that. I do think his time is up. And that leaves Rudiger and not much else. Because now you start reading reports that Ancelotti will be trying Carvajal at centre-back. Come on, really? This is what it's come to. I get that this is all that he's got, but this is a case of planning. And I know that maybe we couldn't have financed the move this summer, but it is one that I've had my eye on for a while, and I really hope that next summer this is the one to come through the door. Obviously, 100 million euro, that seems to be the amount that you allow yourself as a top club to go and spend on a player, unless you are Chelsea, apparently, and you do all of your deals financed into the future over 17 million years per contract. A little bit extreme, but you know where I'm going with this. Anyway, Saliba, what does he bring to Real Madrid, aside from actually being a centre-back? That would be nice, not having to put Chouameni there for the umpteenth time. Okay, so William Saliba right now is probably regarded, and I think most people would agree with this, as one of the best centre-backs in the world. There are only a few in that conversation. Anyone who watches the Premier League regularly calls him potentially the best. The only other centre-back that comes into the conversation is Virgil van Dijk for obvious reasons. And obviously, the other centre-back that I would put in the conversation already plays for Real Madrid, Antonio Rudiger. I think we'd all agree that if we've got to come up against City tomorrow, we want him there. But how good would it be to have Saliba alongside him? And that's what I want to tackle today. So, in terms of his strengths as a footballer, he's a 23-year-old French right-footed centre-back. Although he is quite comfortable playing on the left-hand side of a centre-back pairing, which does bode well for us because ideally we'd like someone to play alongside Rudiger, right? Anyway, his strengths, he's notoriously difficult to dribble past. He loves those one-on-one duels, especially against the top players, so the likes of Erling Haaland. He has no problem with his positioning, standing up the attacker and forcing them to make the mistake. And more often than not, he doesn't get dribbled past. There was a really interesting recent performance that I watched. I watched Arsenal versus Villa. And this was important because last season, Villa got the better of Arsenal twice. And I'm not saying that that's exclusively why Villa made it to the Champions League, but it did underline their credentials as a top team that is capable of challenging and making it to the Champions League. And Arsenal beat them 2-0. Saliba wasn't dribbled past once. He was absolutely immense. So that as a skill alone is incredible. And I believe that that is something shared by Van Dijk, but one thing that I'm not confident with Militao with. So I believe it would be an upgrade in that sense. The other side to his game is that he is not, as I've said previously, he is not the most combative defender. So he's not the defender who is winning all of the duels in the air. In fact, if you compare him to centre backs across Europe, his win percentage in the air isn't great, but he's got Gabriel alongside him to do that for him. And just like at Real Madrid, he would have Rudiger to do that. Rudiger's got no problem putting his head on anything. That's one thing that Militao can do as well, to be fair. So I really shouldn't discredit him in that regard. Now, just like any other player, he does have weaknesses to his game. He has got areas for improvement. So, for example, one of the things that Saliba struggles with, aside from those aerial duels, is long range passing. His short range passing is really, really consistent, actually. He tends to get upwards of 90% when it comes to short range passing. So, keeping it simple, very calm, very assured, happy days. But long range passing is an asset for a centre back. If you look at the way that Liverpool play, Virgil van Dijk is the classic example of this. He is the ability to release the pressure valve, and Liverpool use this a lot. It's not just him either. It tends to be Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back as well who does this. Gets his head up and sees, oh, Luis Diaz, he's in acres of space, I'll set him free. There's no need to build up through McAllister, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai. You can bypass the midfield, bypass the press, go straight to your attackers. And if you've got that pace in behind, and look at Liverpool, you've got Salah on one side, you've got Diaz on the other. Pace, lightning pace. And it's an asset. It really, truly is. So, if we're looking at Real Madrid, look at who we've got. Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe, two of the quickest players on the planet. You would like to release them early. If you've got that opportunity and you've got a centre-back who feels confident enough to deliver that ball, it really is a release valve for your team, and it can set those attacks in motion. And I know that people say, oh, we like to see pretty football, building it up through the team. But I think it's quite exciting as well. I think it's quite exciting isolating your pacey attacker in a one-on-one situation and seeing who comes out top. Reminds me of the goal that Vinicius scored a couple of seasons ago against City, where he lets the ball run through his legs. I think it's Fernandinho who turns, and then he goes through on goal, slides it past Edison, and yeah, incredible goal. I love to see things like that. And Mbappe would appreciate those chances. Anyway, as I say, it is one area of Saliba's game that he does need to work on. I think we can all see that. If you watch him play, see how many times he attempts that ball. It's very, very rarely. And normally if a player's not attempting it, it's because it's not part of his skill set. He doesn't feel comfortable in doing it. But that's not to say that he can't develop. Because, as I say, if you've got that oasis of calm at the back alongside Rudiger, you're playing against Haaland, you're playing against Foden, you're playing against Grealish, whoever it might be, and you've got that person who is like a rock, won't be moved, I'll have that duel with anyone. You do feel better, and it does inspire confidence that goes throughout the team. I'd like to see that at Real Madrid. But regardless of what I think, I would be interested to know what you think. So, if you do share my opinion, perhaps you don't think that he's the best way to spend €100 million. Perhaps you're more inclined to go for, say, a Florian Wirtz. I personally think that centre-back is one of the areas that we need to address. And I think that Saliba, whilst he does have the flaws that I've indicated to his game, he is one of the best centre-backs in world football, and he would represent a massive upgrade on what we already have. Just picture that partnership with Rudiger. That is tasty. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. If you did enjoy the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Real Madrid content daily. Take care.